Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff.
Well, welcome to another episode of Fandom Family Chats. We are talking Lone Star 911. I'm Josh, and I'm here with...
I'm Amanda.
I'm Eve.
Tiffany.
Well, we get this episode started with in a hugely heartbreaking way. I mean, I think this opening segment of that show was just really kind of a tearjerker. I actually was listening on headphones, and I was watching on my iPad at my desk, and just hearing the voice acting in my ear, it was just so clear, and it was just kind of like it just made it that much more intense. It was crazy. I'm like, why am I watching this with headphones right now? I was like,
Yeah.
My heart was racing. I was like, well, they should know how to start it off with a bang. I mean, maybe that's the wrong terminology, but
Am I the only one who didn't I didn't realize they were talking about Gwen until
I thought I
like,
was the
towards
only
the
one.
end.
I thought I was the only one, so I didn't want to say anything. But yeah,
Well,
I
because
didn't realize that
we
either.
didn't know how she died. We had no idea.
Yeah,
they're
I was
ta-
listening to it, and I
I was like, oh, we're gonna get like a regular case to start.
yeah, and I was like, when are they gonna get to like what the problem is? Like, this guy needs to move it along, and then I was like, oh, it's Gwen.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as they mentioned the baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
get
once
it
they
now.
mentioned the baby, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is sad.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one too.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything because I thought I was the only one.
no, I mean, at first, I was like, okay, cool, they're just starting a regular thing, and then all of a sudden I was like just a few words in, but I really feel like it's because the way I was watching it, it just felt so much more intensified. So it was different because it's like, this is not a normal 911 call. This isn't the start. And then I was like, oh, this has to be more, there's going to be more to this.
Did anyone else get a little bit emotional? Because I don't cry, and I did not cry at this one. When he was talking to the baby,
Oh, I know.
like, your mom loved you or something like that. I
Yeah,
was like,
your mom loved you.
I was like, oh, please stop.
I was like, oh my God, who would actually say that? Stop it. You're just trying to pull at my heart right now. There's no need for that. I'm already upset.
Of all the storylines they could have gone with, why being hit by a bicycle? You don't hear that one often.
I thought, like, at the end of the previous episode, when we found out that she died, I thought maybe it was like a health thing, like, a heart attack or aneurysm or just anything medical, but hit by a bike. Like, I wonder why they did that. Like, why did they go that route?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe this isn't going to be so clear and done. I mean, it is 911. They can stretch this out if they want to.
They've done it
So-
before. They did it with that 4-episode ice storm.
Hey, it was a good 4 days. So they did that. No,
Well, it was 4 weeks.
Yeah,
It
that's
was a whole month of ice storm.
unless you binge watch the show. So, but yeah,
Don't.
it was kind of odd, the bike thing, although I don't know, it just kind of seemed like I was almost like on purpose. Like, it was like, really, like, this is how it ends, you know what I mean? It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, out of everything else that could be happening, and it's just a simple bike messenger or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
just something, I don't know, just something I don't
So
want to say
bizarre.
bizarre and unsettling, but
Yeah.
on par, I guess, for the show.
I mean, I'm keep feeling like maybe there's a backstory to this.
It was in New
That's
York,
just
right?
so- yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
in
of
New York.
bicyclists in New York.
There is. I
It
mean,
was a hitman from what Owen Strand's wilderness girlfriend or whatever her name was.
It was the wilderness girlfriend.
There you go.
Exactly. That's what we're gonna say.
Ew.
She was threatened. Dot. Oh man. Oh, what was that?
Another thing that confused me a little bit at first was the back and forth timeline. I mean, once I knew what was going on, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I get it now. But then when we saw Gwen like being dropped off at what was it, like a drug house,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a minute, I thought she was hit by a bike. Is she like, I was like, are we going back and now we're going to see how it happened? Because that sounds terrible. But then when I saw TK, I was like, oh, okay, got it.
I thought the same thing. And she was like, oh man, are we gonna have to see this?
I was like, we already had the your mom loves you. Like that was enough. We
Oh.
don't need to
Mm.
actually see anything.
Come on. This isn't Grace, Eve.
And then that little talk that
Traumatize
he
you.
had with Owen and Carlos while he was sitting on the bed and having
Yeah.
all of the memories of his mom, like the songs she used to sing to him as a baby.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
Aw.
Wasn't that just TK? TK broke my heart this episode. He really did. At that beginning, just he won't remember her, or will he remember that, or who's gonna teach him?
Oh, the
And
baby.
he just it just really like broke you. And I don't want to get too into Owen yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, he really stood strong for TK this episode, and I was
Yeah.
I don't want to say shocked by that because Owen's a great dad. I was expecting him to break more than he did. I'm sure he's putting on a very strong stance and face right now for TK.
Yeah.
But I was expecting it to be worse, and I'm glad it wasn't because it was already breaking my heart enough.
Yeah, same for me. I was kind of expecting Owen to break down at one point too, but he stood pretty steady.
He did.
I think he's been through a lot, the cancer, losing the fire station, nearly losing TK, and the storm, even through all of that. And then now finally this, it's kind of like, I guess a person can only go through so much,
Mhm.
and yeah, at some point you either build up walls or you completely, and how do I say, kind of solidify yourself, or you fall apart completely,
Yeah.
and so maybe he just hasn't hit that point yet. Maybe we'll see that later, but I'm sure he's going to grieve, obviously, in his own way, at
Yeah.
that point.
I'm hoping that this slip up that he almost had was that of an almost, and since he already came clean to Owen and talked about it, and I'm hoping that we're past it. I don't want them to drag that on. That's gonna be a downer.
Yeah, I cannot see TK in any downward spirals. He and Carlos just got back together. It's like, nope, we're done.
It's like you almost killed him a couple times.
He gets to be happy forever. That's
Can we
how this
just
goes.
leave TK alone for a little bit, please?
Leave him alone. Go mess up someone else's life.
Jeez, I mean, just let's leave the poor boy alone for just a little bit of time here.
Let him breathe. Come on.
Oy.
I
So
So-
this is just the one and done, and it doesn't cause any future problems.
Exactly.
I don't want to see that.
No, I don't need either. I'm hoping not. I mean, really, when he showed up to work, I immediately was like, "Uh-oh,
Mhm.
this is strange. What is he doing?" And I like how everybody there, well, mainly his two little his Tommy and Nancy. I think was it just Nancy who really saw him, and then she brought it to Tommy. Yeah,
It was Nancy who saw, and then she went to Tommy.
she was suspicious about it. Yeah, that's what it was. So, I don't know. Did you guys think he took anything? I was
Not after
so
he got
unsure.
caught.
No.
At first,
Oh.
yes, but once I saw Owen standing there, I'm like, I don't think he took anything in front of him.
I was like, man, did he stick something in his pocket already? Did he?
I think I may have actually said out loud, wait, why are you at work? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
And then he said he wasn't going to the funeral. I was like,
Oh,
no. Don't you skip Lisa Edelstein's funeral.
yeah. You can't do that. Well,
Mm-mm.
I mean,
Go to mom's funeral. Come on. You got this. You're brave and strong, TK. Go to the funeral.
You knew
I
right
know.
then and there something was wrong. You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't in the right mind space. I mean, and I think too, having just gone through the ordeal, with almost freezing to death, who was there in his mind space? It was his mom. It
Mhm.
was her, and it almost kind of like, I don't want to say it foreshadow. I guess it did kind of foreshadow this because he was in a near death experience, and in some odd way she was too, like it's like
Yeah.
they were there together.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. 'Cause I know there's obviously a big gap of time between when, he was talking to his mom and this episode, obviously. But I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, how interesting is it that they kind of at least had that moment together?
I've always thought about like Owen and TK because you always see them together. And I'm really, when 911 Lone Star began, I didn't think his mom was really that involved into his life
No.
because you didn't, I mean, for like the first little bit, you didn't know anything really about her.
I didn't think much about his mom until she showed up. I was like, oh, there's a mom.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, okay. So I'm glad we kind of got more of a flashback
Mhm.
of the earlier days because we never really got to see that and we never really heard too much. So it was, I mean, since Lisa has left the show, at least now we kind of got a little bit of a backstory and at least one story of TK and Gwen, even though it was a sad one with him going to rehab.
Yeah, but it was a pretty important one.
It
She's the
was.
one that got him there. Finally, his life is better now.
Yep.
I like that storyline that it was his mom who got him there because they focus so much, like Amanda said before, they focus so much on Owen and TK's father-son relationship. So it was nice to see that that Gwen had, those moments with him too.
Yeah.
I wish we would have got a little more of Gwen this season before they killed her off. I mean, we only got her in one episode, wasn't it?
This
One or two.
This season,
That one and
This
just
season?
that one and this one.
she showed up at the firehouse after they,
Sorry. She was there for a scene.
and then she was in TK's. Was that
I
last
think-
season or this season?
That
When
was-
she
that
was
was-
in his.
yeah, all the
This season.
dreams.
Yeah.
I think both of those were in the same episode though, where he was in that dream state and then she showed up at the end.
I think you might be
Was it?
right.
Because time passed a little bit between when TK woke up and then when he went home.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think you're right. I don't know. Well, she apparently didn't quit the show, so. Oh well, I'm sad. I really like her. I like her and ever since House. I was a
Yeah,
huge fan
same.
of House.
I
I
love
love House. So every time I see her, I know I'm gonna like her. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So I'm excited to see what I guess she's going to next.
True.
So we kind of jump back and forth between present day and that day. And it was a day of significance for TK and his mom. You can definitely tell he loves her.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things like, it's funny because I like the way they did the parallel between, his mom taking him to rehab, they're on the airplane. And then of course, here he is with Owen, and it's kind of like a full loop, it's and like she told him, she's trying to save his life, right? And that's something that a mom would definitely, do. And then now you've got a dad who's kind of doing the same thing in a way, maybe doesn't really know it, but kind of maybe saved his life walking in on him, trying to steal those meds. But so it's a interesting parallel. But we realize that Owen did love Gwen. He wasn't, even though he's being kind of stoic about it, he did, even though things were complicated, like he said. From there, he did care about her, and I think that was important, I think, for TK to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I
He
think
did.
before the baby showed up, they would have continued on together. I liked Owen and Gwen together.
I did
Yeah.
too.
I was bummed that, she went back to New York and it didn't work out.
Yeah. I wish that the baby would have been Owen's, and that would have been played out so much longer. I mean, but if she was wanting to leave the show, then don't let me get that attached to her either. So
Sure.
it's kind of a lose win.
It was kind of nice to see everything kind of working together. It did seem like earlier on in the season that they were going to kind of introduce her and kind of make it work. I know they were still having problems merging things, and then all of a sudden the baby, it's like, oh man, what do you do? And of course they keep bouncing back and forth. We see TK, on the flight, and he's going through some major withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally sitting there just shaking, and you can see the concern on her face. She's definitely,
Yeah.
it's her baby boy,
Yeah.
and she can see right through him. I mean, he's he's trying to, cut the edge off of this withdrawal,
Yeah.
a little bit there, but you can tell that she's trying to, work through and give him opportunity. And then we lean back to the song, and that was like that was another tearjerker moment.
I know. That was so, it was just a special little moment that they put in there. And I mean, round of applause for them. They really did play that out amazing. And I felt it being complete.
I'm wondering, were we just getting these flashbacks for the story, or were these like TK's thoughts? I'm curious. Like, is this what he was thinking about during this trip?
I think
or-
so.
I think
I
so.
never thought of it that way, but
I didn't
now
either.
I think so. Yeah.
I thought I felt that way. Felt like probably him being like, okay, last time I was thinking about drugs on a plane,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about mom. I'm sure that is a
Because
good.
it was very, very paralleled.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Even
It's a
to the
pretty
moment,
parallel.
like when he was with Owen, like in present times, when he went to the bathroom, it went right back to the flashback.
Mhm.
So
I think they
I
were
would think so.
trying to draw a very distinct parallel. I really do, and I think
Yeah.
I think it was both. I think it was him thinking back, and then of course them trying to kind of show both. To me, I think it was just very poetic, because I just see second chances for him, in life, period. In both of those,
Yeah.
first going to rehab, and even though it's they're going on this trip because of death, it just feels like there's life still. You know what I mean? It just like he's getting maybe a refresh chance with Owen, and not that there was anything wrong, but it's just like it's like a new lease. You know what I mean? New lease
Yeah.
on life, is what I kind of feel like.
Yeah.
And I just, not to jump ahead, but when he's talking to Owen, what does he say? He goes, I just, wanted to, get so high that I didn't remember anything, like nothing mattered anymore.
Mhm.
You never know what the consequences of that were going to be. So here's his mom saving his life in the past, and then here's his dad saving his life again. I think it's just a beautiful parallel.
It is.
Mhm.
It really is. They did an amazing job with that. I mean, the episode was it was a really good episode for the circumstances that they had to go around.
Yeah.
Let me put it like that.
You know, and of course we were talking about that in the episode. They jump back to the firehouse where Nancy is suspicious of
Mhm.
TK taking something, and of course she talks to Tommy, and of course Tommy's like, well, you know, we're gonna take this seriously.
Yeah.
You know,
You
obviously.
can tell she feels bad about it, but you know, she's just trying to be a good friend. Just
She
looking
had
out for
good
him.
reason. And I
Yeah.
felt like I got the impression that she felt like she was being a narc and that's why she felt bad. But I was like, no, she's being a good friend.
Yeah.
She's not trying to narc on him. She wants to get him help.
Yeah, I think you can be a good friend and say, hey, we might have a problem, and not be, you know, a tattletale, you know, especially in something like this, because you'd hope that after they did their, you know, inventory, that they would prove him, you know, innocent, you know, and, you know, no matter what was going through his mind at the moment, he's, you know what I mean? It's still, you know, you would hope that that would be the case. And then if not, I mean, it's somebody you work with, somebody you care about, you know, you'd want to help them, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like I tell my kids, like, I mean, it's a basic golden rule. Because I tell my kids all the time, the only time it's okay to tattle is if somebody is going to get hurt or if somebody is already hurt. That is the only time that it's okay to tattle to mommy is if and when somebody is going to get hurt. That's it. Everybody should take the advice.
Well, plus, you know, if they did find out that something was missing, at least they would know what it was. Just
True.
in case, you know, he overdosed or something, so it's easier to treat that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was good. He didn't take anything. He just thought
Yeah.
about it.
But you could tell with Nancy and Tommy, you could tell they both wanted to be wrong. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
both
Oh yeah.
wanted so desperately to be wrong.
Yeah.
I did.
Luckily they were.
Oh, yeah.
And can I give a quick shout out to Nancy? Her character has just kind of like grown in the last few episodes. I mean, I'm really liking it because she used to just be kind of a back
Okay.
character, you know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
a fill-in, but now she's really like taking center stage, and I'm loving it. It's awesome.
I love
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah,
She's
I like
fantastic.
her. Let's see more of her.
Yes.
Pretty awesome.
And then we jump back to present day with TK on the airplane with Owen,
Mhm.
and he starts to take off towards the bathroom, which is, you know, a little suspicious to Owen. But
Yeah. Who else got scared?
Yeah, very. Yeah, I'm
I was like, oh,
no.
no.
I got really, really nervous. I was like, TK, you better be going potty in that bathroom.
This was when I was like, was he able to get anything out of that ambulance? And now he's going to the bathroom. Like, I was really scared.
My first thought was, how did he get it through security? I was like,
Well, I mean, the little bitty bottles, I don't think they, I mean, it has to be in above a certain,
yeah, I guess it was labeled something different. I don't know.
I mean,
Please, Amanda, continue to tell us how to smuggle
I
drugs.
know.
Yeah, no.
No, because it's not like drugs. It's like, it's like prescription drugs. So it's,
It's still drugs.
I know, but I'm saying it's not like as suspicious as like carrying a block of cocaine or however they sell that stuff.
Well, I think that, like, if there was any kind of like security dog, or sometimes some of these machines actually have sensors,
Mhm.
pretty sure they would have detected fentanyl or whatever he said it was that he had or was going to take,
You'd hope.
you know. Yeah, I was pretty scared, and then we get scared for a whole completely
Whole
different-
nother reason.
The plane starts hitting some pretty bad turbulence there.
I know.
And the woman that is sitting next to Owen just starts flying out the freaking window. What is going on here?
That is why I never take the window seat on air.
That's why you never take the window seat.
Well,
That is
I
the
like-
fear.
That's the fear. Okay,
Well, I
so
like
here's-
having my personal space, but now forever the reason I don't sit in the window seat is because I don't want to get sucked out of the plane.
funny enough, so I'm taking a trip in June, and I was laughing because moments before that scene happened, I was thinking about seat assignments on the plane, and I'm thinking, well, I kind of like to have a window seat, and I'm thinking, well, I'm
No.
flying with my sister. Maybe she'll want the window seat because she doesn't fly as often as I do. I mean, but I don't fly very often at all either. But I'm thinking maybe she'll want it. I'll give her the window seat. And then I was like, I'm not saying nothing now. No,
Nobody wants a window seat anymore.
we're not.
Sorry, Bethany.
I'm getting the window.
All for each of their own.
So it's like not happening. I will say that was completely unexpected though. It was like all of a sudden you just see crack and oof.
I know.
I was like,
I didn't expect her to go out.
no. I mean, you don't. You think, I don't know, you just think I get rapid decompression. It happens, right? But they talk about it has to be really large, for it to make an issue, and then even still, if it's bigger, sometimes that's even better because it just completely decompresses all at once. But that kind of thing. It's like it's not like you see in the movies, you shoot a gun and it goes through the whole of the plane and the plane explodes, or you get sucked out from it. It's not that high of a pressure.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, I don't know how. I mean, it's obviously it's TV, but in reality, I think if that were to happen, she wouldn't have survived. I really
No.
don't. No.
No.
I mean, I know her arm was out, and that was kind of, maybe helping support the rest of the parts of her that were out. But at that altitude and that speed,
Yeah. I
no.
don't know. I mean,
I don't think they would have been able to pull her back in. She probably would have just kept on going.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
impressed when they pulled her back in. I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to. I was
Well,
just expecting her to fly out, honestly.
They put her back in. I was like, oh no, now the plane's gonna go down.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, there's still an open window there.
Put her back.
God bless that passenger, that lady. She was fast. I mean, it was just like all of a sudden it was like boom. I don't know where she's running with this suitcase or briefcase. It's like whoop.
Is
We're
she
good.
failing? It's like, what's going on?
It was an emergency suitcase. She just
You-
had to go.
In all reality, somebody would go and do probably the same exact thing,
Yeah,
but it'd be like 10 times too small. And then
we just get sucked right out. Fold.
It just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Try again.
Somebody else. Anybody got something bigger? Oh man, I tell
would
you,
not have gone that smoothly.
no.
All right. So they get this sweet, sweet lady back in the plane,
Thank
thankfully.
goodness.
And then TK notices that she's losing
Yeah, a lot of
way too much blood.
Didn't notice that at first.
And she goes, did I go outside?
I
I feel like I
know.
went outside.
Poor thing. Like,
Only for a few
I went
seconds.
outside.
Like, that's gonna be really, really confusing.
Yeah.
I'm in a plane. How was I outside? Oh, it's not. I shouldn't
I-
laugh at this kind of stuff, guys. Wait.
I
but
do.
sometimes it's all you can do, though.
No.
It's just like, I mean, it's a scary situation, but I mean, still, I mean, obviously, I'm sure worse things have happened on planes, but man, it's just it's I don't know, it's funny because it's just like it's outrageous.
A new fear unlocked for Amanda? Yeah.
I do like though how this whole emergency situation on the airplane seemed to really knock some sense into TK. Like whatever
Oh yeah,
stupor he may have been in,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as soon as he got back to that scene, he had to help pull her in. I was like, okay, this is gonna kind of shake him awake, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that they called Nancy and Tommy and got their help
Yeah.
from the
Can
plane.
you really do that from a plane? Do phones make
Yeah,
calls like
I
that?
was so confused. I was like, wait, his phone is working?
Yeah, I think they do.
That's
Or
convenient.
over
but
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, yeah, but I mean, like he was calling her. I'm like, really?
and it
I
was a
think that
really good
actually works.
connection.
I think
You
yeah. I
can
think-
do Wi-Fi calls on some carriers. They'll do that. They'll do a Wi-Fi call and it's just like it's a regular phone call. The other thing is they were coming down pretty fast, or
Yeah.
they should have been, and because they were trying to repressurize the cabin
cabin.
back here, so they could have been pretty low. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, then they could have been picking up off the cell towers. But yeah, it kind of surprised me at first too, because it just seemed like a regular phone call. I was expecting them to do like a video chat or something like that,
Yeah.
Not just, hey, let me pick up the phone, and make a phone call. But I mean, that was smart to call Tommy, right away. It's just
Yeah.
like, I think that was good. And I half expected her to say, well, put me on video chat or something like that, but
yeah, I did too.
I know they still wanted the video, but I guess that kind of works too.
I was
Yeah.
really impressed with their impromptu supplies they used too.
I
Metal
know.
coffee pot right under her armpit there, just tied it on with a
Don't-
seat belt.
Ever say coffee didn't save a life. Lives.
Saves mine every day. Well, I mean the people around me.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say everybody around you, maybe.
Coffee saves lives. That needs to be my new logo or something like that. Would just be
Yes.
No one needs an uncaffeinated Tiffany. I'm pretty sure
Mm-mm.
that's not a fun thing.
It is not.
Not a experience I would recommend to anybody.
no.
No. And also, Owen with the big save this week with the
Coconut.
coconut water.
Yep.
Who knew? Is it real?
But Owen, though, it was just so Owen to
I
know
know.
that coconut water would have saved the day.
Read.
It is a perfect Owen, no fact.
That
I
is.
wonder if
true.
that's true though. Can you actually use coconut water that way?
I don't want to find out.
I don't either. I'm just curious.
Probably. I mean, I don't see.
I
why
hope I
not.
don't ever have to find out, but
No, I'm just gonna look like a crazy person next time I'm on a plane. Somebody passes out, and I'm trying to pour coconut water into them.
It's just pour coconut water all over him. Are you good now?
I was watching 911. This works.
It works. Just
it works on TV.
wasn't anybody else frustrated that he was like squeezing that back and like half of it was coming out the side? I was like, come on, you like pinch it or something,
Like you're worried about running out, yet half of it's on the floor now.
Exactly.
In the meantime, he's saying, "Is it enough?" It's like, no, because you're getting half of it on the floor.
You're not gonna have enough. Soak it up from the carpet.
I don't think it's gonna work now.
A broom and pour it into her mouth or something. Is that gonna work?
Oh boy.
I didn't realize we would laugh this much for
This episode, I know. I mean, honestly, seriously, because this was such a just
Heavy.
gut wrenching heavy episode, from start to
Yeah.
finish. I mean, in all reality. But it's funny. It's like you almost have to look at the bright side of things. It's like if you don't have that outlook, or you don't see the precious moments in the hard times, and not to bring it back full circle, but I think that that's what's happening in all of this. His flashbacks and everything else. It's like these are the precious moments. Those are moments that you wouldn't realize that actually meant a lot. Even though they did mean a lot on the surface, actually meant a lot more. The little things, and sometimes the big things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the conversation that Gwen and TK had on the plane after he snuck away and she tried to confront him about whatever he took. And he
Mhm.
was telling her, it's not your business.
Oh,
You are my business.
you are my
You know,
business,
you'll
TK.
always be my business. It's her son. It doesn't matter how old he is or what he's done. It's her son.
I know. That was
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, she's your mother. She gets to be all up in your business forever. That's how it works.
Mhm.
That's how moms work. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're 3 or 33 or 63.
Yeah. Your mama knows.
Oh, and she knew.
Oh, she did.
She knew.
And mom's always right. If
Yes.
there are any teenagers listening to this podcast, your mom is always right.
She knows.
We are telling you now.
Whatever you did, she already knows.
So just don't worry about it.
Exactly. If we don't know, we will find out.
So he didn't end up confessing anything to Gwen in that moment, correct? Like he tried to get it out of him and he kind of refused.
Mhm.
So it was nice, in the parallel where
Yeah.
he was talking to Owen, he came clean with Owen and said, hey, this is what I did, or this is what I almost did. I was like, okay, we're seeing growth.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a sign to me where I was like, okay, so maybe he won't go down this downward spiral that, I've been dreading.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me hopeful a little bit for him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they had that where they held on to each other and just had that special moment while the plane was landing. Yeah. I loved that. It was like a quiet,
Yeah.
They didn't have to say anything. You knew what was happening type of moment that was really well done. I mean, I think I've said it a few times tonight. Really love this episode.
I almost thought that plane was gonna go down, like just crash, like in that moment. Like I was seriously thinking that was about to happen.
I didn't think landing was going to be an option.
Yeah, I
Even.
know.
Like right up until when they actually landed, I was like, oh, they didn't crash. That's surprising, but again, surprising but nice.
True.
Glide it down.
Well, they
Thankfully,
still
they
had
weren't
the
that
one
far
in-
away.
Yeah, that's true. They weren't very far away. Because I guess they just but obviously it was in the air for quite a bit of time because it took forever for them to come around. But sometimes they do that too. They'll try to, if they have the power, they'll circle and dump fuel or run out of fuel. So that way, if they do have to land hard, there's not a huge explosion,
Mhm.
like break up or something.
And the whole firehouse is there. I was so happy to see everybody all there for when they came down.
Did anybody notice the music in that scene, like where Owen and TK were holding hands? The music was just so powerful. I don't know what it was, but that's what made me cry. Was the music in
Aw.
that scene?
I didn't notice. I gotta go back and look.
Oh,
I
It
did
was
notice the music,
just
but I
so
don't know.
powerful.
I didn't recognize who it was. I couldn't tell you right now who it was that was playing, but yeah, it did. It did have an impact. I think music has an impact in everything as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in a show like this, I think if they use it, it's used sparingly. There's not a whole lot of music in this program.
Yeah, there's
Mm.
not. You see kind of a little bit between Carlos pushing TK on this plane by himself, and then he has to watch this plane start coming down. I felt so horrible for Carlos at that moment.
Oh,
he's like
blaming
trying
it.
to do a good thing, get my boyfriend to his mom's funeral.
I mean, we kind of know, but that's all he was thinking about. Like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, I put him up there.
I was a little confused at first because I knew that like in the preview for this episode, we saw Carlos at the airport watching the plane.
Yeah.
But then at the beginning, they were talking about how, they were all flying there. So I was like, wait a minute. Does Carlos like not make the plane? And then later on, we saw what happened. But
Yeah. I was confused on that part too. I was like, wait, what's going to happen? Obviously, something's going to happen, but what's going to happen?
And their little reuniting moment when they finally landed and they saw each other again. It was so cute.
I know.
Just like ran up and grabbed him.
I know. Their little kiss. It was such a beautiful moment.
Mhm.
I loved it. And I like that you put in here with the Nancy and Mateo because I feel like we all saw it.
oh yes,
Mhm.
You know what? I didn't, and now that you're saying it, I'm thinking back and going, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, something's there, and I'm not mad about it.
I'm not
No, I'm
either.
excited about it.
I am too. I am really excited about that.
That
I
would
want
be
to see it
cool.
next week.
That would be awesome.
I think that, I mean, they're both like this kind of, I don't want to say like sweethearts of the firehouse, but they kind of are. They're kind of the more quiet, sweet. Well, Nancy's quiet some most of the time, but she's getting a little bit louder now. And so is Mateo, though.
Yeah, that's the cool part because they're both kind of I hate using the word like side characters because they're really not. I mean, they're these characters are full of life, you know, and then they've got big voices in these shows, but it does feel like they're not, you know, on screen every single minute of every episode. But it's a lot nicer now. It seems like that maybe they'll use, you know, a connection between the two of them to bring them to the forefront a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I was really shocked that they chose to have him not make the funeral.
Mm,
Yeah.
I really thought that they would be like, okay, we're gonna jump back and you know we're gonna make it in time or something. I was sad.
Yeah, but they probably don't want to get right on a plane again, honestly.
No.
So
but I have a theory about that. So at the end, back in the flashback, when he's being dropped off, right? You know, to go to rehab, there's a car there, right? And of course, he's like she says, you're bargaining. He's trying to get her to take him the final, you know, the final destination, the final mile. And she's like, this is something, you know, you got to do on your own. It was the point where it was kind of like where she'd gone as far as she could. And then she wasn't going to be able to walk the rest of the way with him. And that was the end. And that was the end of that story. And it almost parallels like they couldn't make it to the funeral. He couldn't walk with her all the way to the end. And I think it was just kind of like a parallel between that. And I think when you look at it that way, it's just gut wrenching.
Yeah.
You know, he went as far as he could, you know, and now it was her time to finish her journey. And that was, you know, the end of her journey.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I think, I mean, I don't know if that's what the writers were wanting to say, but that's what I saw.
I mean, it was really parallel heavy for the rest of the episode, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Because they obviously were going with a theme.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, but that makes absolute sense.
Definitely.
You know,
That's the scene that kind of got me when he realized that she wasn't coming with him.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh, look at him. He just looked like a terrified little boy. He just
know.
wanted his mommy to come eat some Chinese food with him.
I was like, you go with him.
Like, you give him a hug and tell him you'll buy him all the Chinese food he wants if he just goes to rehab later.
I was so on TK's side on this one, which is so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, go with him. Well, hold his hand, stay there with him.
You want some Chinese food? Give him some Chinese food.
No,
He's had a
What?
day.
I completely agree. I was watching that and I'm like, man, oh man, it's just like when you think in your mind, it's like, what is it going to hurt? You know, it's just you're gonna get in the car, you're gonna grab some food, and then you're gonna get him there. You know, and I'm thinking that's all that's gonna take, right? But she was strong, and she knew that he needed to make the rest of that journey on his own. That was his
Yep.
journey. That was his path to walk, and it was going to be hard. But because it was hard, is why he was going to make it. You know,
Yep.
and then they parallel that again with their final scene with the Chinese food. You know, when
Mm.
they're first getting to Texas, and at first you see it and you think, you
It's
know,
Carlos there.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the end because you know they're going to celebrate her. You know, that's what they're going off to go do, and you think, oh, that's it. But no, it's the flashback, and it's just that moment again, that little moment of how do I say that little precious moment, that memory that they're gonna.
Yeah. That was a great little scene. I loved it.
Mhm.
Owen in his hat.
Yeah, I thought for sure
Seen
it
him in
was
a hat very
present day.
often.
Of course, Owen's complaining about the MSG and the Chinese food.
He's gonna be bloated tomorrow.
So Owen.
You know, you can't have Owen eating Chinese food without mentioning the MSG in the food.
This is true.
Very true. And what there was a tofu comment or something like that. I can't remember. It was like
TK's what he was eating was tofu.
tofu. Yeah, it's like nope.
That is honestly the one food that I will not eat.
It
I will
doesn't
not eat
taste like
tofu. I can't.
It doesn't have any taste unless you
I-
put something on it or pair it with something. It's just like eating air.
I can't. I honestly, I just can't.
I've never tried tofu and I have zero interest in
I haven't
changing
either.
that.
I have not
Or-
either, and I refuse to because the thought of it just, I don't know, it creeps me out. I know that's weird to say, but
It's like savory Jello, which
I
doesn't.
know. I mean, I know some people love it, and that's
Yeah, if there's any
awesome.
tofu lovers out there, nothing, all more power to you, please. And
Oh yeah,
maybe I've
definitely.
never had good tofu, but I mean,
If you like it, cool.
good for you.
I don't like it.
Please,
Well,
please
I don't
send
know
us
if I don't like it, but
recipes and convince us that it's worth eating,
yeah.
and maybe we'll try it.
I mean, we're not gonna make any of them, but just try and convince us.
Look good on paper.
I'll look at it.
We just want to understand.
I love that. And then we see the promo for next week. I guess this episode wraps up and so many beautiful parallels, and it's just gut wrenching. And then they throw us another curveball.
I
Ay,
know.
ay, ay.
I don't think I'm gonna like next week because I love Paul.
I know. I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It-
apparently he has some sort of heart condition, and it's just I don't like it already.
Yeah.
The first 2 seconds of the preview, I'm like, no,
I'm
I
don't
know.
mess with my Paul.
We've already had so many close calls with so many members of the teams, and it's like, it's like again, but I guess that is real life. I mean, it's just like nobody's exempt, you know what I mean? And it's especially, when you're a firefighter, you're gonna be in the line of fire quite literally, and and I don't know, it's kind of gonna be hopefully something gets resolved, but I guess we're not gonna know that until next week. But
Let's hope so.
Doesn't
Let's
look
hope
good.
this isn't going to be a multiple
yeah,
episode. We don't know what's going to go on. At least give us some kind of answers at the end of this next week.
Right?
and he was hiding it, right? Like, in other
Yeah.
words, he was stressing himself, and I guess nobody else knew, but was it Nancy?
Marjan.
Marjan. Yeah. Marjan.
No.
So
Because
it's like,
Marjan's-
why hide it though? That's the thing. It's just,
Because he knows he won't be able to work if he has that.
yeah, which makes
He's not
it
going to be able to.
scarier though, because it makes me wonder if it's not something that can be
Oh.
easily fixed or,
Yeah.
I just need them to leave our people alone. Go back to like the emergency call of the day where they go in and save people, and just
I
leave the
know.
people we like alone.
Agreed.
Let them be happy.
I want some episodes that are just about calls. And like I feel like they're doing way too much. That's why I like 911. Is because you
Yeah.
get to see like a new case every time, and it's kind of like fast
There-
paced, and it's
yeah.
too
Lone
many-
Star's not.
It's too many overarching storylines.
Yes. And I mean, I love Lone Star. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to trash his TV show.
That's why
I
we're-
like it. Yeah. But I think if that was the one complaint I had about this one, that's
Yeah.
what it would be.
And it makes me wonder too how much of the storylines have changed because of COVID and filming and things like that too. Because some of these were done under heavy restrictions.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they had to do them under maybe a little bit more tightly woven stories. And then had to take them over longer arcs because they couldn't do the big production. I
Yeah.
think that's why 911 is still so far out. I mean, I think this is a pretty long break. I mean, I think it's still just a mid-season break, I think, on 911.
Yeah. But I think it comes back
Comes back soon.
soon,
But
like next week,
yeah, I think you're right. But
the week after, something like that. It's coming up in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
it's
or
been
is it-
a long break though for
Yeah,
a mid-season
was-
break.
I think what, December was the last?
Yeah, see, that's a long time. At least for me, that feels like it's a long time.
It is.
So who knows? I mean, maybe they're delayed because of COVID, recording things as well too. So you never know. But they really do. I mean, I guess from the get-go, Lone Star did focus on the people more than it did the calls, because I think that's kind of what it was. It was, they were ragtime kind of bunch, right? They weren't the regular run-of-the-mill group, and that's standard Austin, keep Austin weird. I think, they were what they were going for,
Yep.
So they were focused on that, but it was still very much I think at the first start, very much like 911. But who knows, maybe we'll get back into that groove.
I hope so.
They're supposed to be the emergency personnel. They're always the ones in the emergencies now.
I know.
What?
Good point.
Come on.
Yeah, like I said, leave our people alone. Let them be the heroes. And then they go, enjoy life afterwards. Like, just leave them alone.
Stop messing with them.
Everybody goes to Franklin's barbecue afterwards.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
I love it.
21st. It comes back on the 21st.
21st.
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
I think we about covered this amazing, gut-wrenching, yet still, how do I say, found moments of laughter and joy in this episode. It's very well done. I think it was, again, I'd love to see more 911 calls, but this was something else. This was a beautifully done, episode. I don't think any of us were expecting, but
It was a good farewell send-off to Quinn.
true. Well, this has been another awesome episode of Fandom Family Chats. I'm really excited that we are talking Lone Star, and I guess we'll be back again soon after the next episode. Find out what's happening with Paul. And don't forget, you can check us out on all of our socials. We've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
Twitter
now.
Pretty much all the social platforms.
All of
And
your
those are all under Fandom Family Chats.
Fandom Family Chats, easy to look for.
Yep. And our Facebook group is 911 Family Fan Club.
Yes. So if you are just a podcast listener and you haven't joined the group, please definitely check that out.
Yep.
Until next time, I'm Josh.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Eve.
I'm Tiffany.
We'll see ya.
Bye.